Senator Nelson, can you elaborate on what you told my colleague Steve Bousquet yesterday about Russians being in Florida election records? Do you mean right now, or were you referring to 2016?
Right now.
What do you mean by they're in the election records? What do you mean by that?
Just exactly what I said. They have already penetrated certain counties in the state, and they now have free rein to move about.
They now have free rein to move about. Florida Senator Bill Nelson this week announcing that there's something going on in his state's election systems, in the county-administered election systems in his state right now. Not 2016, but now. Russian hackers have penetrated certain Florida counties, and they now have free rein to move about. Now, Bill Nelson is running for re-election this year. His opponent is the state's Republican governor, Rick Scott. Scott's administration responded to this warning from Nelson this week by insisting they had no idea what he was talking about, basically saying, as far as we know, everything's fine. That sounds crazy. Rick Scott himself gave a speech today in which he accused Senator Nelson of, quote, making things up. But Senator Bill Nelson is standing by his statement, and he's offering some important detail. Also, notably, the state's other senator, Republican member of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Marco Rubio, he's not disputing Senator Nelson's account. Today, Senator Rubio released a statement taking no issue with Nelson's remarks and declaring that his state's election systems, quote, have been and will remain a potentially attractive target for attacks by foreign actors. The Tampa Bay Times also reports that Bill Nelson's account was partly corroborated by two county officials who said they heard a similar warning at a private meeting with Rubio earlier this year in May. Now, Senator Nelson says both he and Senator Rubio warned Florida election officials about this current Russian intrusion in a letter last month. He says he sent that letter to local Florida election officials specifically at the request of the Republican chairman and the Democratic vice chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee.
We were requested by the chairman and vice chairman of the Intelligence Committee to let the supervisors of election in Florida know that the Russians are in their records. This is no fooling time, and that's why two senators, bipartisan, reached out to the election apparatus of Florida to let them know that the Russians are in the records, and all they have to do, if those election records are not protected, is to go in and start eliminating registered voters. And you can imagine the chaos that would occur on Election Day.
Bill Nelson is not backing down from his claims that Russians have penetrated Florida election systems now. They're in there now for this election cycle. His warnings, of course, come on the heels of that last indictment from the special counsel's office, which charged that Russian military intelligence, for some reason, bombarded county-level election officials in Florida in the final 7 days before the presidential election in 2016. The indictment describing a huge late attack mounted against local systems in Florida, an attack that was designed to install Russian malware inside Florida election systems. Well, neither the chairman or the vice chairman of the Intelligence Committee are denying what Senator Bill Nelson says happened here. Even as the Republican governor of the state who's running against him is treating this like a joke or even some kind of gaffe by Senator Nelson. But if what Senator Nelson is warning about is true, if this is happening, what do we do about the fact that the state government really doesn't seem to care? If this kind of attack is real and it's underway right now, and it is Russian military intelligence doing it again, are we really just supposed to count on random local officials to figure out if and how they want to try to defend against it? I mean, I get that localities run election systems, but if those election systems are actually hit with an international targeted attack by a hostile nation state, isn't there somebody else who should come in and help with that? Literally, we're just having random senators warn each other and hope someone believes them and figures out a homegrown defense? That's the plan, really? Hold that thought. That's next.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.